This nation will mark 1 year since the attack on the Capitol, and tonight news from the Attorney General Merrick Garland, who said today when it comes to investigating those responsible, he vowed to hold people accountable, quote, at any level. Tonight, right here, 3 of the officers who came under attack, sitting down with me 1 year later. What they ask of their fellow Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. They're warning right here tonight about what they believe could still happen in this country. And what they said when I asked about accountability and the former president. This is the first time that all 3 of you have sat down for an interview since you testified?
Yes.
Correct.
Nearly a year later, do you all still live this?
Yes, every single day. The way I sleep, eating breakfast, making sure I don't hurt myself putting my shirt on, the phone calls from the Justice Department, from the FBI, asking for, do I recognize this individual? I had 2 surgeries already. It hasn't been easy.
I think it's just as simple as I work in the crime scene, you know? Going to work at the Capitol every day, it's a constant reminder of, you know, what happened. I return to the crime scene every single day.
You have talked about what you saw, what you heard that day. Everybody
knows what happened. And if you disagree with what happened, then I don't know what to tell you, because we watched, America, the world watched this attack. I've got to the point where I've stopped trying to convince people about what happened. Now I want accountability for what did happen, so.
You talked about the racial slurs, saying it was the first time anyone had ever hurled a slur at you while wearing the uniform.
Yeah. You know, it's so much that happened that day. There's still so much horror and trauma that happened that day to a white guy and a Dominican guy.
Do you remember that moment?
Sure.
When it was finally over with, and you were sitting on the floor at the Capitol, and you turned to your friend and you asked that question.
Is this America? How could something like that happen? You know, at the U.S. Capitol, the pinnacle of democracy.
Sergeant Gonell, you were beaten with a flagpole. You had chemicals sprayed at you, so much of it that it soaked your clothes right through to your skin. And you've said there were moments when you actually thought you were going to die.
Yes. I struggled because I was getting pulled. I didn't want to get pulled to a crowd. They were pulling me by my leg, by my shield, by my shoulder strap. And we don't know what those people had in those bags. There was nothing I could do because I couldn't even move my arms. I thought to myself that I wouldn't make it out of there alive.
You thought your life was in greater danger in those moments than during your entire deployment in Iraq?
Yes, sir.
What were they saying to you?
What were they not saying?
Traitor.
Traitor. Join us. You breaking your oath.
Some of them were showing badges.
That happened with me. At the moment, like you know, like, what the hell? It's a badge?
I did see people with military paraphernalia, veterans, Army for Trump, veteran for Trump.
I know you finally got home 4 a.m.
Yes.
And your wife wanted to give you a hug.
She did, and it pains me. And all she wanted to do was hug me because she had been watching TV since it started. And I knew that if I would have hugged her, then all those chemicals would have transferred to her. I just put a blanket and decided to hug her. And when I did that, I was crying like for about 10 minutes. I didn't say much, just cry in her arms. Then I went to see my son, and I cried some more.
Officer Hodges, you described what people were wearing that day. You said ballistic vests, helmets, goggles, military face masks.
You know, they weren't just there to listen to people speak, and there wasn't just a rally. They were ready for violence. That's what they had planned on. It was premeditated. They had a plan of action. And, you know, as we saw, they followed through with it.
The country, the world now knows that moment in the doorway. Can you still see and hear the voices, and in particular that man who was standing across from you?
Oh, absolutely. Because of the way I was being crushed, I literally could not look at him. So I remember just the intensity of his guttural screams, and I swear I remember him foaming at the mouth and just grabbing at my mask and ripping it off my head, straining my neck, ripping away my baton, beating me in the head with it.
You said at one point he had his cell phone in his mouth, so he could use both hands to get at you?
Yeah, it was just the absolute zealotry of these people was unreal. They were completely convinced that, without any evidence whatsoever, that the election was stolen and that they were doing the right thing. They were in that cult of personality. Their leader had told them what to do and they were going to do it.
What were you thinking?
I remember, so the way that I was pinned was that I had the door to my right and then just a crush of people and a shield on my left to where my arms were like this. And I was standing pretty much straight up. So I couldn't get any strength from my legs in that posture, and I couldn't effectively use my hands.
Did you think you were going to get through that?
I mean, it crossed my mind at the time that, this might be it.
A Texas man has now been arrested and indicted for that moment in the doorway. And I'm curious.
Good.
Honestly, it had been so long since the 6th that I didn't think they were going to find him. They were able to track him down and arrest him, so he's going to face justice one way or another.
I know all three of you have witnessed how politicized this has all become, and I'm not interested in talking about the daily political back and forth, but some of these moments are difficult to ignore. You had a congressman from Georgia, Andrew Clyde, who said, if you didn't know the TV footage was video from January 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he had watched when Hodges was screaming, when I was fighting for my life. I had the injuries. I could show it to him if he wants to, if he would like to.
You've lost service members, and you've lost several to suicide.
Yeah, that's tough.
Do you think there's been a lot of quiet suffering?
Absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of mental health awareness, and it needs to be checked. And I just make that plea to people, get help, it's okay.
As we mark this 1 year mark, do you feel safer?
Those individuals who were there, they thought that they were in the right, and they would stop at nothing because they were empowered by somebody in the highest position of power in the United States.
That person in power, former President Trump.
Yes. Correct.
What would you say, not to Republicans or Democrats or independents on this 1 year mark, what would you say to your fellow Americans about why that day should be remembered?
People have this conception of American democracy being invincible, that something like what happened on January 6th couldn't happen.
It did happen.
And it did happen.
Do you believe it's possible we see something like that again?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yes.
You all still want accountability for anyone who helped plan this?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I almost lost my life multiple times because of that day.
What does accountability mean to you?
For these people who attack us, who attack me, the planning, from the planning, financing, everything that needs to be investigated. I mean,
when you look back at that rally that morning and the former president?
Yes, I do hold him accountable. He's the only person who had influence over those people, and you could give him the benefit of the doubt that he was not involved. You could say that he didn't know for about an hour. What did he do in the hours after the first hour? You can't tell me that he did not know. And that event, I'm sure that was playing on all the TV at that time for several hours. So the notion that he did not know or he acted swiftly, no, I don't buy that.
I just have to hope that, they're doing everything they can to see that the people in power get what they deserve.
And if that means the former president?
Absolutely.
So
I don't care who it means. You know, you've got to deal with this harshly and quickly in order to squash any thoughts of this happening again, which I guarantee you people are imagining this happening again.
Right now.
Right now.
Those officers pushing for accountability, warning that without it, this could happen again.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.